already on?
Starting now.
Okay. I don't know if we're started yet. What was the countdown?
It just said starting.
Oh, okay, good. Well, hi everybody. So we are starting day 2 of our 21 days of prayer. We're kind of taking the 21 days of prayer from Church on the Move. This is the last one I did, right?
Yes.
So the last one I did at the beginning of the year. And we're just going to kind of go through this stuff one day at a time. I haven't set a certain time because when I start back to work, I'll probably be doing these videos early morning, so I wouldn't expect you guys to show up for that, but you know, you can always watch the replay.
Which means I'll be doing these early morning.
Yeah. This is Derek. For those of you who do not know, this is my husband. These are our dogs.
They are also Christians.
Yes.
These dogs.
Eden and Embryo, they pray every time we leave the house, please come back. Anyways. We were blessed enough to be able to have breakfast outside this morning, and I'm sure you can probably hear the birds chirping and singing this morning, and that beautiful cardinal that just flew over our head. It's just a gorgeous morning. So the first thing we did is we had breakfast out here and thanked God for giving us this day. First thing I want to say is I know that every day is changing, and that with every day brings some new anxieties, but also with every day brings new blessings. So please keep that in mind. And like I said yesterday, this is totally out of my comfort zone, so I may stumble through some things, and that's okay. That's okay. If you want to do something out of your comfort zone because that's where God's taking you, do it and stumble through it, because that's okay. So back to what we did yesterday. Yesterday, we read Matthew 5, 1 through 12. Do we want to read it again?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll just read it again. We'll just read it, just a recap. Well, actually, I'll let you read the recap. Go for it. Matthew 5, 1 through 12.
All right. One day as Jesus saw the crowds gathering, Jesus went up on the mountainside and sat down. His disciples gathered around him, and he began to teach them. God blesses those who are poor and realize the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. God blesses those who are humble, for they will inherit the whole earth. God blesses those who hunger and thirst for justice, for they will be satisfied. God blesses those who are merciful, for they will be shown mercy. God blesses those whose hearts are pure, for they will see God. God blesses those who work for peace, for they will be called the children of God. God blesses those who are persecuted for doing right, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. God blesses you when people mock you and persecute you, and lie about you and say all sorts of evil things about you because you are my followers. Be happy about it. Be very glad. For a great reward awaits you in heaven. And remember, the ancient prophets were persecuted in the same way.
So after reading that, we're instructed to read through it again. So hopefully if you needed to, you got out your Bibles and read through it again. And slowly read the second or third time. It says, who does Jesus say is really blessed? And what can you learn about the way of Jesus here? So we kind of discussed this morning a little bit. And we were talking about, I think we may have kind of gotten off of that subject a little bit, but that's okay. That's okay. It's not about staying on subject. It's about being led into a conversation, being led into thought. So we were talking about how when you go through this, there's a couple of times where it says, for the kingdom of heaven is theirs. It says that twice. And there is one time that there was a qualifying statement afterwards where it says, God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him. So what we were discussing is that doesn't necessarily mean God's saying, I'm going to bless everybody that happens to be poor. That's not what he's saying there. And as Derek had pointed out, it doesn't necessarily mean monetarily poor, but maybe poor in spirit. And so, I mean, it's not that God won't protect us or take care of us if we need things, but what I think we need to point out here is all these things, none of them have ever said, first of all, that I will make sure that you don't go through anything. As a matter of fact, it says, when you do this, when you go through this, when you mourn, when you're poor, you know, when you become humble, And we all know we can't become humble unless things happen in our lives. It just doesn't happen. So when all these things happen, I will do this. And when it says, God blesses those who are poor and realize their need for him, because you can be poor all you want, doesn't mean God's going to do anything for you. But you have to realize your need for him and call out to him. And I think that's what we found. Want to add anything?
I think it's also saying that just because you see, I mean, it doesn't directly say it, but I think it indicates that just because you see someone who is rich or having a great life and they're a complete idiot, they're doing all kinds of terrible things, it does not mean that is God's blessing on their
Right.
life just because they're rich.
Yeah, because it does point out a lot of times it says, the kingdom of heaven is theirs, or they will inherit the whole earth. Your reward awaits you in heaven. So just because you see somebody that's out there doing evil things, and I know I'm guilty of that, saying, I'm trying to do everything right and I'm getting nowhere, yet this person is doing all these horrible things and he has all of this.
Right.
Well, what does this person really have? Because when it's all said and done, his riches mean absolutely nothing. Means zero. Nothing. So, and I think if we pay attention to life, it is the end result that really does matter. So, I mean, like when you're trying to lose weight or you're trying to eat better and work out and be healthy, in the middle of that, when you're restricting yourself from having, a pound of chocolate a day, or when you're restricting yourself from too much television or too much Facebook time, and you're working out, you're not going, oh, this is amazing, I'm loving this. No, you're not doing that. But at the end, when you feel better and you're healthier, that's the end result, and that's what matters. And I think it's kind of along the same lines.
Yeah. So there's
Go ahead.
there's the part where it talks about that they realize their need for, blessed are the poor who realize their need for him. Blessed are the people who mourn, for they will be comforted. If you get sick, for instance, let's say you were praying not to be sick and then you get sick. If your devotion to God is based on whether or not that happens, then he's not your God. If you say, I prayed to not get sick and then I got sick, and that's okay because I still am faithful to God. I'm not okay that I'm sick. I still pray that I'm being healed. But if I'm not, I'm still at peace with God. That's still my peace is in God, not in whether or not he heals me. My devotion to God is not contingent upon the blessing or the money or the healing or the whatever, people not persecuting me. I prayed for this and God didn't give me this thing. Well, sometimes God says no. So I think the gist of it, like what you're saying, in heaven, you have these things.
Right.
Whether you have them now or not is irrelevant
Right.
to your devotion.
And you can, and
You can have them.
you can have them now, but it's not necessarily going to happen that way. It's not necessarily going to happen on our time. And I was thinking yesterday, I've been missing my dad a lot. I'm trying not to cry. Anyways, I've been missing my dad a lot, and I know that when he was sick and we were worried that he was going to pass away, and then towards the end we're like, okay, well, he's getting better and things are getting better, and then he did die. So I didn't understand, and I was very angry. But then I was thinking about this last couple of days. Had my dad still been alive today, the amount of anxiety and worry that my entire family would feel would have been skyrocketed. And I'm not saying God let him die to make us feel better. What I'm saying is that I know how my father felt, and I know physically and mentally how he felt. Had he been alive during this time, I think it would have been horrible for him. And again, I'm not saying that's why God didn't heal him. I'm not saying that's why. I don't know. But I do know that God knows the future. And there may be a million other reasons down the line that I may never even see why God did not heal him and why he did pass away. There, we may never see the reasons why God doesn't answer our prayers. We may never see that until we're face to face with God and we can ask him. And then it'll be like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense, you know? And so we can't lean on our own understanding. As a prayer, I pray every morning, God, let me not lean on my own understanding. Let me lean on you and not my own understanding, because I know that that's hard for me. It's hard for me not to have that control or that understanding. Understanding is just another form of control, if you really think about it, because if you don't understand what frustrates you, why? Because you have no control. You just want to understand. Well, that's because you want the control. You don't necessarily have to understand. Just do what God says. Just follow God. Do what he says. Lean on him. But I know I'm very guilty of that. No,
That's good.
So on day 2, we're going to go to Matthew 5:13 through 16. It says, take a breath. Turn your heart toward God. Consider the words of Jesus from the Sermon on the Mount. You are the salt of the earth. But what good is salt if it has lost its flavor? Can you make it salty again? It will be thrown out and trampled underfoot as worthless. You are the light of the world. You are like a city on a hilltop that cannot be hidden. No one lights a lamp and then puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. And again, it says, jot down your first thoughts and questions below. Read the passage again a second and a third time. Read slowly. How does Jesus describe his disciples on mission? And what is the purpose of good works? And well, like I said yesterday, if you want to jot down your comments below just to share with everybody, that's great. If you don't, you know, it is definitely, it's about you and God. It's not about us and you. So do however you want it. If you want to share these videos, that's perfectly fine. But make sure that you are doing it with God. However you decide to do this, do it with God. So it says, come close to God, he'll come close to you. Let these words of Jesus lead you into a few moments of prayer. Write out your prayer. And as yesterday, it begins, Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. May the kingdom of heaven come. May your will be done in my life and in my world today. And something I noticed yesterday after I closed out, when I was looking at this again, it says, may your will be done in my life and in my world today. There's a lot of stuff going on in our world today. And even in the midst of all of this, no matter what happens with the coronavirus, in the midst of all of this, God can be here. God is here. But you have to invite him into your world. And when it says in my world today, it doesn't necessarily mean the planet Earth. It means in my world, in my environment, and in what affects me, and what affects the ones I love. That's your world. So you have to invite God into your world. You have to invite God into your life on every aspect, and let him take control. Yeah?
Yeah.
You want to pray?
Yeah. God, thank you for this day. Thank you for the beauty of this day, God, for the opportunity to be here and to share. Thank you for Pam's conviction of doing this. She woke me up out of sleep to get me out here to do this. So, God, I know that you'll bless her for her conviction. God, I pray for anyone who watches this, or anyone who is blessed from this, whatever's in their life right now, good, happy, sad, whatever it is, God. I pray that they would see you in their circumstance, see you in their joy, see you in their sorrow, see you in their sickness, and that their hope would lie in you and not in their circumstance, God. And I pray that you'd help us to be that light that you talk about in your word. Show us how to do that while we're stuck at home. Pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Hey guys, like I said, I don't know what time tomorrow. I'm not going to make a schedule. that we will be on tomorrow. I mean, it's going to be, okay, I'm not even going to promise it's going to be in the morning, but that is the plan, is it'll be every morning, start our day with the 21 days of prayer. I believe after 21 days of following God's direction, I believe there's going to be a light somewhere. I don't know what that's going to be, but I believe it's there. So we will see you guys tomorrow, day 3 of 21 days of prayer.
I have a question before we go, because I got to turn the camera off anyway. I need suggestions, because we were talking in the car the other day, yesterday. How can we share, not in a non-virtual way, in a real person-to-person way, while we're going through all this? How do we share our faith with other people in a meaningful way, not just in...
You don't mean like, how do you share? How do
Right.
how do each of us share that?
I need ideas, because I'm blank. Yeah, so, cool.
All right. See you tomorrow, guys. Puppies, you want to say bye to the peoples? You say bye? Oh, they left. They're gone. See ya.
Heathens.